everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang. Imagine talking about me on stage and I'm just at home working 2 jobs, trying to take care of the 2 children you left me with. If this is your first video of mine you've seen, my baby daddy is a real comedian and the jokes are on me. We left off yesterday talking about my son's 2nd birthday, but we've got to back up. Y'all, talking about this stuff has like literally triggered so much anxiety. Yesterday I had so much anxiety, like it was literally stirring up. I had to just sit still for a second because all of those feelings came rushing back, and I'm like feeling panicky and feeling anxious. And then I realized that like before it gets better, it does get a little worse, because all of that stuff that I was just like not paying attention to or like burying deep in my mind, it's being stirred up to come out. So I understand that. But yesterday was tough, y'all, and all this stuff started coming back to my memory. I started remembering all of this other stuff that I had just not even talked about. But we're going to back up a little bit, but I will get to the 2nd birthday party. I had said he immediately started living with his step-parents in the basement. But before that, his godfather, I guess, you know, what he was saying was his godfather, he had a job which allowed him to live in this big mansion in my old neighborhood of Beverly. So he was living in the mansion at that time, because he had him come over for Christmas and like come over to visit us for Christmas or something. And I remember taking a Christmas photo for him, because the guy was like, "Oh, I'm so happy you got such a great family." And I'm sitting over here like, y'all, and that was around the time my hair was falling out in clumps. Oh my gosh, I remember that, because I was shampooing my hair and it was just coming out in my hands, y'all. But we'll get back to that. So let's back up a little bit. Before he stayed in the basement with his step parents, he was in that mansion. So that's the time I was working 2 jobs, and it was during the summertime, and he wasn't working at all. He was just living over there, and he was with that girl that I mentioned before from the comedy show. Now, I have no issues or no problems with her. She never disrespected me other than that little situation. She was always really good with my kids, and my kids liked her. And as long as my children feel safe and they liked her and she wasn't doing anything to harm them, I'm cool with it. So he was with her every day. She was over there all the time. So because she was with him, he was always okay with getting my son. Like every time I had to drop him off, it wasn't an issue. It only became an issue when she wasn't there with him. Then, oh, you can't drop him off and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I got to go to work. Yeah, I'm dropping him off because I have to go to work. You're not contributing. I have to drop him off. So he was like, okay, but he would be giving me a hard time. But anytime she was there, it was no issue. I remember this one time I was there. I was on my way to drop him off. And normally I would pull up in the driveway. He'd come out. I never had to get out of the car, and I just keep going. She would be in the car waiting with him, or she'd be at the door, you know, looking out the door while he's getting the baby out the car. Again, I have no problem, no issues with you. As long as you are not mistreating my children, I'm cool with it. So this one time she wasn't there. There's no guess about it. She wasn't there. So I'm calling him like I'm outside. He's like, hey, can you bring him to the front door? And I was like, okay. So I get out the car. I'm bringing him to the front door. And I'm like, hey, I'm in front of the front door. He's like, just open up the door. And I'm like, what? So I open up the door, and I got my baby in the car seat. I open up the door. This man is coming down the stairs wet with a towel wrapped around him, barely, with a semi. Talking about you can put him right here. Bring him upstairs. Baby, I sat my son right there in the foyer and gave him a kiss and turned around and walked out there. Sir, I want nothing you have. Literally nothing you have. That thing ain't did nothing but give me plenty of problems. please get out of my face. So he was upset. Like, when he was trying to, like, you know, entice me, I wasn't responding. Oh, he was very mad about that, because he's supposed to be able to come down there with his thing out, and I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah. No, honey. I was like, I don't want no parts of that. Plus, this girl is coming over here every day, watching my kids, and you think I'm getting right? Nah, please, we're not doing that. So then he started giving me like hard times for, like, I think he had to leave because his godfather no longer had that job, so somebody else was taking that job, so he had to move out of the mansion. So now, you know, he's back and forth with the girl who's watching my kids, another girl who I'm gonna tell y'all who this girl was. Please, I just, thinking about this stuff is so triggering. But anyway, he's messing with another girl that's close to him, in proximity of his step parents' house. So there was a small period of time when he's trying to figure out, oh, I got to move from out of this mansion to my step parents' house. But there was a window where he really, you know, didn't really know where he was going to go. During that time, he had started to have to come back to the house to pick my son up. So this day, I sweat a lot. So it was hot outside. So I had taken my uniform off, and my uniform dress off, and laid it on the seat. And then I had on like a t-shirt and some pants just till I got to work, so I wouldn't be sweaty when I had to go to work. So, and every time I went to work, y'all can ask anybody. I'm always, no matter what was happening, I always look nice. Always are gonna do, you know, my hair. Always gonna put a little makeup on just to look presentable. Always gonna be neat, smelling good, all that, no matter what was happening, y'all. So, he comes to get the baby. Now I'm in the car already. No, I'm on the porch waiting for him. And I hand him the baby and I come to my car. Well, when I'm getting in the car, he like, wait a minute. Now, he not even looking at the uniform laying on the seat. I had the uniform in my hand and then I laid it on the seat. He not even looking at that. He's so busy like trying to catch me in lies, because he's such a liar, that he doesn't realize the obvious. So he's like, you're not going to work. You're not going to... I'm like, I'm getting ready to be late. I have to leave now. So mind you, I had already given him the baby, and the baby is in his arms. And I'm in the car trying to pull off. So he's standing on the side of me, on the passenger side of the car. And I'm like, please, I'm backing up because I have to leave out. So I back up the car and I start to turn it to come out into the street. And as I'm turning it to come out into the street, he steps in front of my car. And he's like, you're not going nowhere. You're not going nowhere. You ain't going to work. I ain't watching him today. You ain't, you don't have to go to work. You're going somewhere. You going with some man. And I'm like, move out of the way. I have to go. So I'm backing up even further because it was a little bit more room in the back, so I can just try to turn around him. Mind y'all, he's holding my baby in the middle of the street. And I'm getting angry, and I feel myself getting angry. And normally, you know, I have a soundboard, but I'm in the car. I don't want to be late. Like I told y'all before, at my job, you can literally recover from anything. Like, you could literally knock a plane over and damage it, and you won't, you know, be penalized. They'll evaluate it, but you won't be penalized. But if you're late, oh baby, it's a wrap. So I'm like, move. I don't want to be late. Move. Because he was probably already late coming to get him, because otherwise I wouldn't have been in a rush, because I always leave out in plenty of time. So I'm like, move. Please move. Move out of the way. He will not move. So I start backing up again. So I'm backing all the way up, and I'm trying to figure out how to get around him. Y'all, this man stands in front of my car, like in front of the corner of the car, because I can't turn out because he's blocking me, like literally standing right there. And I'm so mad and so angry. I'm not even seeing my son, y'all. I just see him. And I backed up the car because I was about to hit him with my car. And my mom, when I tell you her discernment is unbelievable, my mom and aunt ran out to the porch. Don't do it! He has your baby! He has my grandbaby. My aunt jumped down the stairs like Spider-Man. And she's running across the street. And I look up and I see, I'm like, oh my God, I was about to hit him with my baby. oh my God. She grabs the baby. She said, Tara, don't let him get you like this. Don't let him do that. Y'all, when I realized that, like, I had tunnel anger vision, and I didn't even realize my son was in his hand, and I was getting ready to hit him with my car, I was like, nah, Tara. And plus my mom and my aunt was like, you can't let him get you. Don't let this man change you. This is not you. You're going to give up your whole entire life. You hit him, hurt him, or kill him, you're going to jail. You want to leave your kids with him as the parent? And I'm like, y'all are right. And I'm in tears. And I'm like, I'm just not going to go to work. And my mom was like, no, you're going to work because that's what he wants. He wants you to not go to work. So I got myself together and I drove myself to work. And I called and let my supervisor know that I was coming in, but I needed about 20 minutes before my shift just to get myself together, and they were okay with it. So at this point, my mom was like, listen, they got to go to daycare. And I'm like, Ma, I can't afford daycare. It's just too much. She was like, I didn't ask you if you could afford daycare. I'm telling you, they need to go to daycare, and we're going to take care of it until you make more money. And I was like, okay. So they started going to daycare. Everything was good. You know, I'm ignoring him. I'm not responding to him. I'm not even calling him about anything because at this point, they're going to daycare. My mom is picking them up sometimes. My friends will pick them up sometimes. My aunt would pick them up, so I didn't have to worry about it. Well, it's been some months, and he's like, I'm sorry about what I did, and I want to see the kids. And I was like, okay. Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to be that parent that keeps the kids from him, which I should have, because that did more damage than it did help. So, yeah, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm like, okay, you can see them. I'm trying not to be a bad co-parent, although I was the only parent, to be honest with you. So, you know, I would try to let him see them, and I'm like, the best way for him to see them without me is, okay, you can pick them up. So he started picking them up from daycare, and he was doing a good job at first, and there was a trigger. So my aunt had got me tickets to the Beyonce concert, and it was his time to pick up the babies. And of course I ain't saying nothing because I know how he is. So that day I went to work. I got off early. I came home. I started getting dressed. I'm on my way to the concert with my best friend and my aunt. She got all our tickets, y'all. So he's blowing my phone up. You need to come get these kids. You going to the Beyonce concert? And I was like, how would he know that I'm going to I didn't tell nobody. I know my best friend ain't gonna tell. I posted on Facebook the outfit that I was going to wear to the concert, and I had him blocked, or so I thought, but I'm sure he was using somebody else's page to get onto my stuff. He probably still does it now. So I'm not even responding. I'm calling the daycare because she was so good to me, and I was telling her, like, look, my kids are supposed to be picked up by their dad like he normally does. I'm on my way to the concert, just letting her know. And plus, she had already known. I had filled her in when I first started bringing them there so that they understood, you know, what was happening in case anything weird or off happened. So he's blowing me down. I'm not picking these kids up. You gonna pick them up. You ain't going to no concert. I'm not responding, y'all, but I'm getting really nervous and anxious because I'm worried about my kids. My mom was out of town at the time. My best friend was with me. My aunt is buying tickets. She's coming with us because she bought the tickets, and I'm getting panicky. And my aunt's like, do not let him ruin this. Y'all, just so y'all know, my grandmother had 13 children, so I got lots of aunts and uncles, and we're pretty close. So I'm like, you know, I'm getting panicky, and she's like, oh, I feel my heart beating right now. It's okay. She's like, just calm down. He's gonna get them. And I call my mom and I tell her, she's like, I'm out of town. I'm just gonna call somebody just in case. And she's like, no, he's gonna get those kids. This is what he's supposed to do. This is what he agreed to. So the daycare lady, she's like, I don't want to charge you because it's 2 minutes. per child per minute, $2 per child per minute that you're late. And he knows this. And I had let her know beforehand that I was going to the concert, but then when he started saying he's not picking them up, I called her immediately. She's like, hey, relax. She was even willing to drive my kids to the house to let somebody else come out and get them. God has just blessed me with so many people that were good to me while he was being so awful to me, y'all. But anyway, so she was aware of it. She's like, I'm not going to charge you, but I'm going to let him know that there's a charge for being late. So he telling me I'm not going to pick him up. So the daycare lady, she said, called him. She was like, listen, this is your time to pick them up. Everybody's aware of it. I have the schedule. You have the schedule. She has the schedule. We know that you're supposed to pick them up. If you do not pick up these kids, I am going to call the police and tell them that you specifically abandoned them and will not pick them up. And you are supposed to, because we have signed schedules. Girl, when he heard that, oh, he went and got them kids. He went and got them kids and went and picked up the girl too. Because like for some odd reason, he can't watch his children by himself. If his oldest daughter wasn't there watching the kids, if a girlfriend's not there watching the kids, he cannot handle it. He screams at them. He mistreats them. And not just my kids, his other kids too. But it was mostly my kids because I wouldn't do what he wanted me to do. So I'm just like, ugh. So we ended up going to the concert, had a wonderful time. I got the kids afterwards and life was good. And he cussing me out, calling me an unfit parent, talking about you abandoned your kids to go to a concert. What kind of mother are you? All this talking, I'm just ignoring it. So then after that, our first birthday party, this is how I knew for sure that the story I was telling you guys about was his second birthday party. Because his first birthday party, I went all out because I like to do that for my kids anyway. So this was he's turning 1. We're going to celebrate. I had called the step parents, all my friends, my cousins, my families. We're all going out to the park to go celebrate him. Now, when I go out to the park, I'm not just out there in the grass. I mean, I got table decorations. I had his high chair out there, the table for the cake and the desserts. I had like a whole entire igloo container full of the drink, all of that. Decorations, balloons, everything. It's a celebration. Even I had his little smash cake. So I'm getting ready to leave out the door because I'm early because I got all this stuff to take. And I asked him, I said, mind you, he couldn't come in my house. So he came with his kids in the car and he's like, I'm dressed, ready to leave out. My son is dressed. Everybody's ready to go. He's like, I bought my son the outfit that I want him to wear. Now, this is a 1-year-old party. I got him on the cutest little 2-piece outfit. Everything is perfect. Because mind you, he's not buying them any clothes. He's not shopping for them. He's not buying diapers, wipes. He's not even trying, y'all. So, he's like, I bought my son. I want him to wear this outfit. So we go back and forth. Finally, I'm like, you know what? It doesn't even matter. So his daughter brings the outfit up. It is a button-up dress, jeans shirt, and some khaki dress pants like he was going to Easter Sunday. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I changed it into it. Now, mind you, I'm doing all this by myself. So I'm asking him, can you carry the giant igloo? Can you put it in my car so that I can take it? Because it's kind of heavy. It's full of juice. I'm like, I should have made the juice there. Why? He puts it in my car and he makes sure he spills it all over the back seat of my car. So it's red punch all on my seats, all on the back of the seat. And I'm just like, you're so ignorant. Y'all, he didn't help me with a thing. He sat there and watched me unfold and fold up tables. He sat there and watched me move heavy stuff. He didn't lift a finger to do anything. Literally, I'm sweating. I'm doing everything. And he just sitting there watching me. I'm even trying to strike up the fire for the grill, y'all. It was horrible. He just was standing there like, I'm not helping you do nothing. So we left off at the birthday party. I was telling you, I know the other story was his second birthday party, because this is the first one. Y'all, I went all out. For what I could afford at that time. I knew I was going to have it out at the park, so I had tables, chairs. I had his high chair. I had cake, barbecue grill, decorations, balloons, party favors, everything that I could afford. I went to the dollar store and stuff, but it was nice because I didn't really have a lot of money. I know I didn't have to pay for the park, and I knew that I could bring this stuff, and I'm assuming that I'm going to have help. Well, honey, the only help I had was him putting the igloo cooler full of juice that I had made that's tall, tall as my whole upper body, into my car, ruining my seats. Red drink all over the back of the seat, all over where you sit at. And he did it on purpose because he just does stuff like that. So we get there, I'm pulling out tables, chairs. I'm sweating. I think I had to go run back home at one point for something, setting all this stuff up. Y'all, he's sitting there just watching the whole time, not helping, doing nothing. I done set all the stuff up. Now it's time to break it down. I'm breaking big tables, y'all, chairs, barbecue grill, a high chair, balloons, favors. He's not lifting a finger to help me. He's sitting there just watching me. And his people just letting him not do nothing. And I was like, so I asked my uncle. My grandmother had 13 children, just so y'all know I'm talking about different people when I say uncle and aunts and stuff. So I'm asking my uncle to help me. If he looking at me like, this man ain't helping you, I'm not helping you either. And I was like, all right, cool, it's whatever. So I pack up all this stuff myself, put it back in the car, and I'm like, whatever. So that's why for his second birthday party, I was like, this isn't like a super big birthday. So, and it's on a Tuesday, and I've got work the next day. I only had that one day off. The kids got to go to school and to daycare. I'm not making a big deal. So I go to Whole Foods. I get him a Spider-Man cake. At this time, Whole Foods used to have this eating area where you could do little small parties. You could eat. They would do some slime making classes for the kids, all kind of stuff over there. So they were like, it's cool for you to bring his cake and stuff. So I ordered a small pizza from Whole Foods, and it's just me, my mom, my aunt, and I was inviting him because I knew that he got off work at 3:30. Everybody else was at work. And it's just a small thing. So my great aunt. So, so I call him. I'm like, on his lunch break, I'm like, hey, at 4:00, we're going to blow candles out for the baby's birthday. Do you want to come? He's like, yeah, I'm going to come. He was like, you having a party? I was like, no, it's just blowing the candles out. He was like, that's a party, ain't it? And I'm like, whatever, I don't care. So I know he gets off work at 3:30, so I had it at 4. I call him at about 3:40, and I'm like, hey, you on your way? He's like, yeah, give me a minute. And I'm like, okay. So my great aunt, my mom, me, and my baby, we're all waiting. We're waiting. My daughter, I ordered their little pizza. They're eating their pizza and their fruit and stuff. And I'm just waiting. So 4:30 comes. I'm calling him. I'm coming. I'm like, Mom, I'm about to leave him. She's like, just chill. The kids are relaxed. They're just now eating. Just leave it alone. So they're eating. They're babies at this time, 4 and 2. Or 3. 4 and 2. So I'm like, it's cool. So we packing up because now it's 6 o'clock. And I'm like, I got to get these kids bathed in the bed and ready to go. So I'm packing up. He comes in at about 6:15 or so. And he's got the girl with him. Now they are dressed. He done went home, changed clothes, took a shower, dressed to the nines, and went and picked her up. She dressed to the nines just to walk into Whole Foods and see me, my great aunt, and my mother sitting there cleaning up frosting off of my son and my baby. I'm like, is he all right? He can't be. What kind of party is this? This ain't no party. What you do for my son? Where's gifts at? Where's presents at? What kind of mother are you? You a disgrace. This looks terrible. This ain't no party. Man, you don't do nothing. And I'm sitting here like, now this time my mom's, I can see her, she's getting upset. But my mom is very, she tries to keep it together, and she's a jokey, laughy person. So she's like, hey, baby, just pack this stuff up. Let's get out of here. And plus, that's my Whole Foods. That's where I shop at. I'm not trying to embarrass myself. These people see me often. So I'm packing up the stuff. She's the girl standing over in the corner. I feel so bad for her. She dressed up, got on heel boots and everything, and we just blowing out some candles. Imagine. So he fussing and just talking real nasty, talking out the side of his neck. And finally my mom says, I done had enough now. You need to stop it. And so the girl's like, don't do that. I'm not talking to you. And so I'm like, all right, God, let me get out of here. So I'm packing the stuff up. I'm not even looking in his direction. I'm tired. I'm exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically. This is my only one day off. And I'm just like, you know what, whatever. So we're going to the parking lot. And of course, my baby loves the girl because she's so kind to her. She was really nice to my baby. And so somehow my baby asked if she could ride with them to the house. And she said, of course. So he like, I'm taking my son with me. My mother's like, let him bring him to the house. It's no big deal. I'm like, Ma, she said, it's no big deal. So we get to the house. And he was like, why would you tell me it's a party and ain't no party? I'm like, why would you go home, change, take a shower, get dressed, and go pick up this girl and bring her with you to my son's blowing out camp? This my family. She my family. I consider her my family. This gonna be who I'm gonna be with. So if I'm coming, she coming. I'm like, all right, so you're not coming to nothing else. I'm not finna do this with you. Like, y'all look dumb coming dressed up. Y'all ain't getting ready to go nowhere else. Y'all done made us wait here for hours just to go home and get dressed up to walk over here and to realize it's just us. Ain't nobody to see you. You ain't got to make no scene in front of everybody. So he livid now. He's screaming. We're in the middle of the street. It's like this time the sun done went down. So it's probably like 7 o'clock, 7 something. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. The girl get out the car with my baby. And I'm trying to grab my baby to take her in the house because I'm like, she don't need to see all this. So he's screaming and hollering and, what kind of mother are you? I'm going to bring her wherever I want to. She my family. And the poor girl just standing there. And at this point, I put my hands over my daughter's ears. And I'm trying to walk her into the building or over to the building. And he's following us. So I pick my baby up and I put her head on my shoulder and I'm smashing her head down, trying to cover her ears to get her in the house. And he's steady following us. So now we're across the street. I'm on the sidewalk, like right before I get on the sidewalk, and he's still running up on me. And the girl is still right there because she was giving my baby to me. And my mom, because he trying to get in my face again. So my mom stepped in. She was like, nah, go get in your car. He trying to scream at my mother. My mother said, that's what you're not going to do. And so he was like, this is my family. So anywhere I go, she coming. Anything I do, she gonna be here. And I'm looking at the girl like, I have no problem with you. While he's screaming, he's steady screaming. But I'm looking at her and say, I have no problem with you. I have no issues. You've been nothing but kind to my daughter. And I reached to touch her hand just so she understands what I'm trying to say. And she's touched me back and she's holding my hand. She's like, I'm sorry. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't have to be sorry. Whole time he's still screaming. He realized we talking then. What you talking to her for? And like push her back. And I'm like, so I'm just like, let me go in the house. He is screaming, following me to the door. And I'm sitting here like, I have put him out. We not trying to be a family. And I still have to go through this BS. What is going to give? So y'all, whole time I have put in for child support and the court days are coming up. When I tell you I was so embarrassed in court, when I tell y'all I was so embarrassed because at that time it was in person, and I'm like, people can see that I actually had 2 kids with this man. This is so embarrassing. So we get ready. The court date comes up, y'all. It was awful. He is embarrassing himself, me, and our children in court. So I'm embracing it, y'all. I'm like, I'm a single mom with 2 beautiful babies. Let's just do this, okay? So I am dropping them off at school in the morning, going to work, coming to pick them up after daycare or after aftercare. And, I'm getting into a rhythm. I'm like, okay, pick them up, bathe them, dinner, playtime, bed, repeat. Okay, so I'm getting in a rhythm, and I'm feeling okay about it. I made a court date. I filed for a court date, and back then, when you made a court date, is like a year before you actually are able to get in front of the judge. And this is when you had to go in person as well. So during the wait time, like, I'm still trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and allow him to see his kids. You know, he said, I want to see the kids. So he'll come pick them up, take them to the park and things. Then I'll be like, hey, you know, since you're taking them to the park, can you grab them something to eat? Well, I guess I should have been more specific, because he'd give them ice cream and cookies and then drop them back off at the house after they haven't had anything to eat but sugar. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to ask him to do that anymore. And sometimes I think he was like specifically doing it just so I wouldn't ask him anymore. And he, you know, but he was doing like he was starting to do terrible things, y'all. There was a time where he was with them, and I think both his other daughters at the time were there, or just one of them. I don't know. They were coming home from somewhere, and it was like 8:30, almost 9 o'clock at night. And y'all, my baby like passes gas, or like is fussy or something like that. Mind you, she like 6 or 7 at the time, if that. She might have been 5 or 6. He pulls over to the side, puts her out on the sidewalk, gets back in the car, and pulls up 2 car spaces, and leaves her there screaming and hollering for God knows how long, and then get her. I'm like, why would you do that? He was like, she was fine. Wasn't nobody gonna do nothing to her. I was like, why would you put her out of the car at night? She was terrified. She's fine. Ain't nothing happened to her. I'm like, you couldn't have guaranteed that nothing was going to happen. What if something did happen? She's a baby. Like, she's a kid. She ain't no baby. She shouldn't have been doing all that hollering and screaming. It's a car full of people and she passed gas. What? So I'm like, something not right here. And then he's also like telling her, I took my other daughter to the daddy and me dance, but your mom won't buy the ticket and won't get the stuff I need to take you, so I'm not taking you to the dance. Why are you telling her this? Like, he was buying Valentine's Day gifts for them and not getting her anything, and they would tell her. And I'm just sitting here like, why are you doing... Y'all, he was hitting my baby like legit. Like, to the point where I'm like, wait a minute, because I couldn't understand why she would come to the house so angry and upset. I'm like, baby, what's wrong? And come to find out, the sister told me that he was hitting her and then telling her, you bet not say nothing. When you go in the house, you bet not say nothing to your mother. You better keep your mouth closed. And so she wasn't telling me, but she would be upset. She would be angry. She would be crying. He would say stuff to me like, she's going to hate you and you going to hate her. You going to wish that I come and get her. You going to beg me to come get her because you going to hate her. I'm like, who hates their baby, their kid? What is wrong with you, guy? Like, are you cool? And like, it was all kind of stuff like that. And this one time he had called my phone. I'm not answering because it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. It's always at this time. I feel like something was going on with him and he was mad, so he was wanting to take it out on me. So I'm not answering. So he texts me, I want to see the kids. And I was like, okay, what time tomorrow or the next day? He's like, no, I want to see them tonight. I'm like, no, you can't see them tonight. They're in the bed. I'm getting ready to go. He was like, you can't tell me when I can see my kids. So at that point, I stopped responding to the text message. I'm still getting ready, getting dressed. And then all of a sudden I hear my doorbell ringing. And I was like, I know that's not him. And he's ringing. It's getting more aggressive. I'm like, oh my God, that is him. So then he's laying on the bell. What it seemed like it was for a whole entire minute. And I'm sitting here like, why would you lean on this bell like this? What are you doing? And so I'm not answering. So then he starts ringing all of the bells, laying on the bell. So I have to call my uncle. I'm like, hey, that's my baby daddy downstairs. I told him he can't see the kids right now because they're in the bed and I'm getting ready to go. He was like, say less. So he go downstairs and he like, hey, she said you can't see them tonight. You got to go. He was like, you can't tell me when I can see my kids. He's like, you can't see them tonight. They're in the bed. She's about to go. You got to go. He was like, I ain't going nowhere. He's like, really? Okay. He looked at me. Because I'm up the stairs on the inside of the building. He opened up the door. He said, call the police because I got a piece on me. And I'm telling him to get off my property and he won't leave. I ain't going nowhere. Police got their speed time, like super fast, because they've been here before. They know the situation. They know what it is. So I'm not exactly sure how it played out, because soon as the police came, I skedaddled down the stairs, jumped in the car, because my friend, he had gassed the boat up. We getting ready to go out on the lake and watch the fireworks. I'm excited. So, it's just a bunch of stuff like that happening. And y'all, trust me, my receipts have receipts. I have police reports. I have audio recordings. I have video recordings from buildings that he was standing in front of doing this stuff. I have DCFS reports. I have it all, like literally all of that, because he was that bad, y'all. I had gotten desensitized to some of the stuff that he was doing, but it was really bad, like literally bad. I got people who were on the street seeing what he was doing and wanted to, and stayed around and wanted to tell the police what they saw, and was like, okay, giving their phone numbers and okay, giving a signed declared report. It was terrible. So we get down to finally it's time to go to child support court. I get there first and they call our name and he's not there. I'm like, this man's not going to show up, but he ends up coming. He comes late. So they went past us to other people. He comes and tries to sit next to me, but there's nowhere for him to sit. So he sits like diagonally to me. And at this time, this was when, back in the day, when you had to come into court in person. And then also, like, whoever was on a docket for that day, they were all in the room. It didn't matter if they didn't put you out. So you saw everything that was happening with everybody. So he like whispering and talking to me. We shouldn't be here. We should just leave. Like, this ain't us. Look at these people. Look at me. Look how I'm dressed. Look how they dress. I'm better than this. We better than this. And I'm like, we're not better than this, because, you know, we can't come to an agreement, and I'm sure they're here because they can't come to an agreement. But I'm not saying nothing. I'm just thinking that. And he's like, look how I'm dressed. Look how they dress. You about to embarrass us. You getting ready to embarrass us. And I'm not saying nothing. I'm just trying to zone out. I'm trying to ignore him. I'm trying not to talk. So finally they call our name to come back up again. We walk up to the judge and this man like starts stretching. Like he's literally putting his hands above his head, fully extended, locking his hands together and like stretching his back, then kicking his leg back, and then bringing his hands in front of him and stretching them out towards the judge. The judge was like, sir, enough. And she was like, hey, I've pulled all of your income. This is what you're getting before taxes. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I brought my check stubs because I didn't know that you could pull. And she's like, no, we pulled them all. We pulled yours, sir, but this is all I have for you. He was like, yeah, because I'm not working. I'm getting unemployment right now. And she was like, well, what we're going to do, we're going to take what the minimum wage is. We are going to times that by 40. We're going to get a monthly amount that you should be making. And then we're going to take a percentage of that. And the total was like $160. And I'm cool. I'm like, okay, that's going to help pay for daycare. I'm good with $160. Sounded good to me. So I'm all right with it. He's like, but I'm getting unemployment and that's all the money that I have. And I don't understand why I would have to give her anything when she got, and he goes on to start listing. She took them to Hawaii for summer break. She put them in a summer camp. She got 2 cars. She lives in a 5,000 square feet building. She doesn't pay market rent. She does this, and he's just laying it all out. Everything I do for my kids. And I'm sitting there like, okay, what is this about? Man, when I tell you, that judge was like, okay. So I was getting ready to try to defend myself. And the judge told me to be quiet, because when God chooses you, honey, you don't have to worry about it. He's going to defend you as well. So I'm trying to interject, y'all. And she's like, be quiet. And I was just like, okay, because the minute she said be quiet, zip my lips. She said, so, sir, you've listed out everything that she does for your children. You told me that she provided a place for them to stay. You told me she provided vehicles for them to get around. You told me she provided something for them to do during the summer. And you also told me that she even took the children on a vacation. Well, you do know that those are all things that she should be doing. And she's went above and beyond. So now tell me what you've done. And he was like, I bought them shoes. Every time I go out to the store, I make sure that I get them some shoes. And I was sitting there like, dear God, people can hear him. People can hear him. And the judge was just quiet and silent for a minute. And he was silent. She said, no, I'm waiting for you to continue. And he was like, no, that's what I'm saying, because she do everything else. So all I had to do was to make sure that they had this. The judge was like, so let me ask you this question. Can they turn the lights on with those shoes? He was just looking at her. She said, can they eat those shoes? Can they go to sleep on those shoes? Can they get to school with those shoes? Can those shoes provide a home for them? Well, sir, as far as I'm concerned, it was a gift. I was like, okay. She asked him, he was like, but they don't need to be going on vacation. And if she got money for them to go on vacation. And I tried to interject to say my job. She said, ma'am, I asked you to be quiet. I said, so I shut my mouth again because I had made a mistake and said something. She said, sir, it sounds like you're jealous of her lifestyle. That's what it sounds like. I ain't jealous of nobody. I ain't never jealous. What I'm telling you is she doing a money grab. A money grab, sir? You don't have no money. Where the money at? Where's that, sir? Please tell me where it's at. Because you ain't got to give it to me. Give it to these. Give it to these babies. You got to give it to me because I'm good. Trust and believe I'm good. And I'm just sitting there. She said, so that's what we're going to do. We're literally going to come back in 3 months and we're going to make sure that you have that job because we're making sure that you're going to get paid at least minimum wage. So therefore, this is the judgment. So then we left, right? 3 months later, we come into court. He's a no-show. I called off work, came to court, no-show. Second time, he's a no-show. Now, in between this time, he was working somewhere and they were still taking the child support, the $160 out a month. And then he stopped working there. So there was nowhere for them to find out like where they're supposed to take the money from. And I just assumed that he wasn't working. But then he called me and was like, yeah, because I got to go to work. And I was like, oh, so you got another job. Oh, the conversation was over with. So I didn't know where to say that he had a job. I was like, I know that he's working, but I don't know where. Y'all, please help me understand why my uncle went to go get his car like serviced and washed and oil changed and all that. The man was working in the dealership. My uncle called me so fast. So it says this dealership. This is the address. This is the manager. I said, how you get the manager name? He put all that in there. So then I reported that. But then by the time it went through, he was gone again. He quit that job. So I'm just like, it is what it is. You know, I appreciate the money that I was getting initially. It is what it is. So I think this is like the third time we're trying to go into court and he didn't show up again. So at that point, they had pulled his work records and he had gotten his old job back. So when he had gotten his old job back, they automatically started taking out child support and back child support. And so when he saw that they was taking out the child support, because it increased when they added the back child support and they totaled up whatever he was making, it increased to like $300 or something like that, plus some back child support. That additional child support made it like probably like maybe $500. And I'm kosher. So immediately my daughter, I noticed that she had ADHD symptoms. So I went and had her evaluated. And when I had her evaluated, I was absolutely positive. They said, yes, she does have ADHD. Also, my daughter is intelligent. She's extremely intelligent. Both of my children are. So I was like, the environment that she's in the public school is not good for her. So now I have this $500. I can use this to get her into a private school so that, you know, she has better attention, better resources, all of that. So when he finds out that he's getting they changed the amount of the child support, he called me, "You stealing my money? You gonna give me back my money? I'm coming to get my money." I'm like, "Stealing your money? Sir, I'm not stealing your money. You don't need all that money. What you doing?" And I'm like, we're not doing this. So then what he does is he'll have those outrage outbursts. He's angry, all that. Then he'll be cool for a long time. He'll even hold it out being nice for months. Then immediately when you re-engage, because it's been such a long time, that's when he try to get you. And he's like, I found out that she's in a private school. Yeah. So you don't need child support. You just want extra money. No, she does need to be in a private school because the way she learns and her behavior needs a little bit more attention, and she needs to have different tools in order for her to thrive. She don't need to be in no private school. They got public schools for a reason. Sir, you went to a private school. Your other children go to a private school. Why can't my baby go? She don't need that. You just want the extra money. Miss me with all that. So I'm done with that conversation. I'm like, we're not doing it. So then he files a motion to come back into court. Now, this is after he's missed the trial 3 times. Not trial, but like child support court 3 times. Now he's filed a motion to change the amount back to $160. So he shows up for that one. We got a different judge now, and it's a man. So when we go in, he was feeling a little bit like confident. But again, this is back in the day where literally everybody in the courtroom can hear everything that's happening. So if somebody goes before you, you get to hear everything they doing, everything, all of that, right? So we get in there and he like, yeah, this, this is the time. I got this on video because it was so bad, y'all. Like, he was livid. He sat in front of me and he kept trying to talk to me. I refused to talk to him. He was like, look at you. You should be ashamed of yourself. You terrible. You dirty. You coming in here to get extra money. You don't even take care of them kids good. The girl that he was with better care of them than you. My son was dirty when I picked him up from school. He 3. Of course he gonna be dirty. Like, stop playing with me. My son was dirty. You dirty. Look at you walking around here with your hair done and your nails done and your fancy bags and fancy shoes and you trying to get money from me. All of this, literally, y'all, I have this on video. Like, literally, if I could post it and change his voice and block him out, because he kept moving closer to me because I kept moving away from him. He kept moving closer to me so he can whisper. So much so that the judge was like, I asked y'all to be quiet. I'm like, Judge, it's not me. He's talking. I'm like, I'm recording. He's like, you cannot record in this courtroom. Then I shut it down real fast. I was like, I apologize. And he was like, y'all need to stop talking. I said, it's not me. And he like, you just dirty, you dirty B, you this, like, literally he's whispering it all. He's literally and he has a smile on his face, y'all, while he's saying it. So if you see him, it doesn't look bad, but he is saying such nasty things. It was ridiculous. So finally, that judge was cutthroat. Like, this man came in there and he said he ain't have no money. The lady said he worked at a church and getting paid. He called the churches and the churches faxed over his money immediately. He held that man in contempt of court. They came. I didn't even know that people can come out the side of the walls. They came out of the side of the walls and arrested him. So then he calls our name and we come up there and he's walking up there all confident. And he's got stacks and stacks of papers, y'all. Like, he has printed out all kind of stuff. And I'm getting a little nervous. Like, what you got? Like, what you about to do? So when he starts to, I'm feeling very nervous because I see that he has a stack of papers and we're walking up to the judge and I don't know what the papers are. So I'm walking up to the judge and I just stand in front of him and I'm waiting for him to say something. Before the judge can say anything, my baby daddy is holding up paperwork. And he's like trying to show the judge, and I'm like, what is that? And I'm trying to look over, but I can't see what it is. The judge says, put that down. He doesn't put it down. He says, I said put that down. My baby daddy said, I'm trying to show you. He said, I said put that down. I'm looking over your case. So he finally puts it down. So he's looking through all of our notes. He says, I see 2 cases here. And I'm looking at this judge. I'm like, he seems familiar, but to this day, I'm not sure if it was the same judge I had before when I took him off of child support. He says, I'm seeing 2 separate cases here, and I see that you closed the case. Why did you close the case? I said, well, I was pregnant with his 2nd child, and I was trying to make it work, and we were trying to be a family. He said, so you didn't believe him the first baby? And I said, I don't understand what you're saying. He said, when he showed you who he was the first time you got pregnant, you didn't believe him and you turned around and had another baby? I said, yes, Judge, I did. I was trying to have my family. I didn't want to be a single mom. He says, well, now you're a single mom with 2 babies. I said, well, I know. So I'm feeling little, y'all. I was like, you right. He said, so I'm looking through this paperwork, baby. He looks at my baby daddy and says, so I see that you have got another job. How come you didn't report it? He says, I didn't think I had to report it. He says, it clearly states here that once you receive the job, you were supposed to come in after 3 months and report the job. He said, well, I didn't have it when I was supposed to come in. He said, well, you ended up getting the job and you never reported it. He says, I didn't know I had to. So then he starts trying to show a piece of paperwork again. The judge said, I asked you to put that paperwork down. He's like, I'm trying to show you. He said, I asked you to put it down, and if you say another word, I'm going to hold you in contempt. So he shuts up. So he looks over at me. He says, do you work full-time or do you work part-time? I said, well, I work part-time because it takes me an hour and a half to get to work and an hour to come home, and then an 8-hour shift in between that. I don't really have anybody to pick my kids up or to drop them off. He said, so why can't he? Because he has plenty of time to work overtime. I said, well, I asked him before, and his only response has ever been, my family is closer to the children than he is, and it doesn't make sense when they only have a 10-minute ride to pick them up and he has a 45-minute ride. And the judge says, well, is this true? He said, no, that's not true. I don't get off work till 3:30. They get out of school at 3:45 or 3:30. So how am I supposed to make it to them? I said, well, Your Honor, they are in aftercare. I had to put them in aftercare. So actually he has until 6 o'clock to pick them up, but he refuses to help. And plus we had some issues where I'm just a little bit uncomfortable at this time. He says, we ain't had no issues. We ain't had nothing. He looks over at me. He says, you just sitting up here lying to the judge. And I go to turn to the judge. The judge says, don't you say a word. I'm talking to both of you. You are not to talk to each other. And so he's like, okay, I see the total of your pay stubs, and let's look at yours. He says, well, I see a lot of overtime on here, so we're going to calculate that overtime. He said, no, that overtime is to make up for the money that she's taking from me out of my pockets, out of my kids' mouth. That's to make up for that. He's like, out of your kids' mouth? You have 2 children with her. Yeah, but I have other kids, and she's taking the money out of their mouth, and I keep telling her. I say, Your Honor, he was blowing my phone up, calling me, telling me I stole money from him from the state and that I needed to return it, and he was coming and I better have his money. He said, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me, but we're going to figure this part out. So he said, so you want me to reduce the child support from $160 a month, from $532 or $35, I can't really remember, to $160 a month for 2 children. He said, yeah, because she's taking the money out of my other kids' mouth. Plus, on top of that, I don't have anywhere to live right now, and I got to get my car fixed, and I have to take care of me, because if I can't take care of me, I can't go to work and take care of my kids. He says, all of that is a load of, and I was like, I'm just sitting there listening. He says, so we're going to calculate these checks properly. So then he lifts up this paperwork again, and I'm looking at $64 a month. Y'all, my baby daddy almost, I think he was about to drop a load in his pants. He starts getting loud and waving and shaking these papers in the judge's face, and the judge is like, Mr. Last Name, I have asked you to stop, and I'm not going to ask you again. He's like, but you're taking all my money out of my kid's mouth. He said, hold on, how many children do you have? He says, I have 5 children. I said, 5? I'm counting 1, 2. Those 2, then my 2, that's 4. He says, with how many moms? He says 4 moms. And now I'm getting ready to interject because I'm like, he's doing it like he said 5 kids. It's 4 kids with 3 moms. But he's standing on business. He's not changing the fact that he said 5 kids. So I'm sitting here like, I still at that moment it didn't hit me. And then I was like, wait a minute. He had another baby? And so I'm sitting there in shock. I haven't even heard, like, I haven't comprehended that he's saying $530 something every 2 weeks. I'm still stuck on, you got another baby mama? Y'all, when I sat there and thought about it, I was like, that is right. My babies did say that. They did tell me that. And I just breezed right over it. The judge was like, so you mean to tell me that you got 5 kids with 4 baby moms? So you just out here impregnating everybody, huh? And leaving them. He's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. You don't know the circumstance. He said, I know a pattern when I see a pattern. And you, sir, are a pattern. She said, he looked at me and said, I don't understand how you saw him with 2 children and 2 baby mamas and you turned around and had another baby with him. I said, Your Honor, I didn't know. He said, well, it was your job to know. I said, y'all, he made me feel this little. I said, well, you're right. I'm going to take full responsibility. He said, no, you're going to take responsibility for yourself and he's going to take responsibility for himself. And I'm sitting there, I said, you got another baby? He looks at me and said, you know I had another baby. I said,